Welcome everybody. Welcome to our Rest in Tech Talks virtual number 2. I'm excited to have you all join us this afternoon. I see more attendees are still showing up. We wanted to at least start on a somewhat reasonable time. And today we have a whole range of panelists joining us. And right now, 5 of us are here. Panelists, do you guys all see each other?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, so I'm the only one that's never seeing anybody. I thought I had it figured out, and still I didn't prepare and get enough done ready ahead of time. So why don't you go through and start introducing everybody. Christopher, why don't you start with yourself?
Sure, I'm Christopher from Measured Results. It looks like I'm wearing the same shirt as I did when I took that picture, so it's kind of fun. We have a, yeah, I need a wardrobe change. I haven't been out to a store in a bit. But no, we focus on setting up technology for companies. I think today I'm going to talk about COVID from the perspective of a remote company. So we've been doing this for a bit, but happy to answer questions on how we figured out how to work remotely, and we have to figure that out again when we add employees or others to the team. So happy to talk through that and happy to participate in this panel for that.
Excellent. And Carlos isn't with us right now. We're hoping maybe to try to figure a way to get him back in there, but we'll start next one on my my panel over here is Rashmi. Rashmi, you want to say hello to everybody?
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Steve, and thank you, Carrie, for putting up this beautiful show for all of us. And my name is Rashmi. I head Constellix Services Corp as the Director, Sales and Strategy. At Constellix, we offer managed security services and IT consulting, which is our primary offering. Remote workforce and remote infrastructure management is what we offer. So this is actually the way we work regularly. Nothing has changed for us.
Excellent. And then Mila?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me, Steve and Carrie. It's a pleasure being here with all of you. So I founded my company called Chief of Heart. It's a culture science company. So we help organizations build a sustainable culture and help develop our people through diversity, acceptance, and heart culture, right? Focusing on our biggest ROI, which is our people. So when I founded this company, I founded it on the sole basis of remote. So all my teammates are remote in different parts of the world, different parts of the country. So we have been doing it for 2 years now, and we have gained a lot of flexibility and liberty, and also it allows us to understand how people are from an extended lens. So I'm here to share how remote working from home has helped my company, and here to share tips.
Excellent, excellent. And then Amy, good to see you again and talk to you again. You want to give a quick?
Sure. Hello, everybody. Thanks for having us back, Steve. My name is Amy Bogart. I am a business performance advisor with Insperity, and what we do is we perform high-impact HR for medium and small businesses, basically optimizing one of the biggest expenses businesses have. That's everything employee. So we're happy to be here.
Excellent. All right. And I actually did finally figure out how to get my iPad to then show the same thing. I was telling the panelists before the conversations, like when you're doing the presenter view or the organizer, you don't actually see everybody. So you're kind of just smiling at a reflection of yourself, which is sort of weird at a certain point. But it's good to have everybody. Thank you all for joining us. And once again, this is based on our Rest in Tech Talks. Rest in Tech Talks are a monthly, every so month meeting we have in Reston. We like to talk about different solutions that companies have that are in the Northern Virginia area. They could talk about products they've worked on, ways they're making businesses improve, ways they're actually helping each other. And so about a month ago, we did a one just starting out with the COVID-19 pandemic about how to prepare, how to get ready, get yourself a proper work environment, get yourself a proper structure, set yourself goals, and we talked about all those, and you can find that webinar. And now we're doing like a month after the fact, right? How are we all doing after that? How's everyone been doing? And then next month, we're actually going to try, I think we're still going to be in the lockdown mode, and we can't have our RTTs still We can't have the 100 people crowded in a little room. So what we'll do is we're actually going to go back to our original RTT format, and we're going to try to have companies talk about themselves virtually. We're going to bring 3 or 4 different companies and have our original RTT format, but virtual. So we still want to keep going through that. But I do want to thank you all to the panelists for taking time out of your days to talk about everything and how everything's been going so far for you. So let's kind of go through. I think everyone kind of has their own opinions and thoughts and everything. And, you know, we'll start off with what we started one way. Let's go back the other way now. So we'll go with Amy. Amy, how has everything been? How are the schedules, commutes? I know personally I've talked to you. Your work environment's a little more unique than I think some are, but not just with you or the company overall. How has everything changed so far a month into the fact with the COVID-19?
Well, it's definitely with the company overall. We've learned that a lot of our people are needing help. So we're not in a sales mode. The sales hat has come off. We are out there just providing resources for as many small businesses as we can contact in a day, just reaching out, asking what we can do to help. So it's really more about having structure during the day and reaching out to as many people as possible. As far as the commute, I mean, come on, I think that's one of the best things, but I do have to say there is a little bit of a missing there, because I would always, and I've spoken with my colleagues, plan my day in my head and kind of go through scenarios and plan ahead. So I've found myself having to maybe start a little bit earlier than I normally would, and kind of pretend I'm having that commute and have those same conversations.
Okay. Yeah, it's sometimes my frustration of the commute is just replaced with just trying to get quiet in the house for me, right? Trying to get the kids quiet. And I don't know, I live in Fairfax County, and just the frustration of getting your kids. Anyone else have children in Fairfax County or Northern Virginia are having problems with the online learning? It's been a disaster. I don't want to put everything down, but you know, being in the high-tech corridor of Northern Virginia to be experiencing this as a parent is the most frustrating thing. Christopher, what about yourself? Then I'm going to loop back in the middle over here. What about, how's everything going?
I mean, I'm lucky. My son goes to a private school, but they've had classes online for 5 weeks now. So, you know, he's gotten into a schedule. I think some of the big changes, you know, we don't really have a commute of those pieces. I think the employee stuff has really changed. I think that, you know, I have a couple of employees who both mom and dad work and the kids are home at school. And so a lot of really changes to scheduling. So it's, hey, really, you know, sorry, you can't work early anymore. I'm not available until 9:30. And then it's like doing shifts during the day. So I think that's changed a lot in terms of availability and, you know, getting work done at a regular schedule. It requires more blocking time for projects than what was required before. Yeah, and I think, yeah, I feel like a mentor a lot now. The conversations that we're having with clients or just generally are always getting beyond just what we're working on and talking about the world around us. I mean, there's always either talking about the news, talking about what's going on with them and their family. And so relationships have gotten a lot more personal now over the last month than they were before. I know whose kids are who's a problem child, and you know, whose dog is doing its business inside the house and is not supposed to. It's quite interesting from that perspective. And then the last thing is, you know, we have you know, I'm interested to hear some of your thoughts around this as well. But you know, from a mental health perspective, I mean, it's that realization that you just have to take your time to get organized and sort through things, and people are going to break down, and people just need extra time to adjust and figure things out. One of my colleagues, the trash company, they got a new trash can that was too large for the trash company, and they did not pick up their trash. And they absolutely flipped out on the beginning of a call. It was an internal one, but it was just those little extra things make it a bit more challenging.
Right. Mila?
Sure. So, my company has been remote for 2 years, and it has actually given my company like a head start to really understand where people are and how to really understand our people in our organizations from an extended lens. Whilst, the reducing commuting, being remote reduces, commuting. And also one of the things that we have done in our organization is like when we truly understand people either during a global pandemic or a personal crisis, right? Both are still crises. Like this pandemic has made the invisible visible, to Christopher's point, allowing us to see, how are you juggling with your children? There's no longer childcare, there's no longer schools. So you being a parent, you are putting all these different hats to be a teacher, to be an educator, to be a babysitter, to be a chef, making lunch, having all the snacks. I've been eating so many snacks while working remote from home, and like this is reality for so many people. And we have been reaching out to so many people out there who have been where the environments have changed, right, from the office to the home, and we have been able to see all those walls coming down as to how a parent or how an individual truly exists in their truest form if the office environment is removed, right? During crisis right now, we are wearing so many different hats. That actually boils down as to back the question as to if a person without this crisis if a person is having personal crisis, right? So let's say if your team member comes to work and then has got a sick parent, a disabled child or a disabled parent, and how are they juggling? So we have been able to tap into all of these different nuances and help organizations see that your people or your teammate showing up is not Christopher 5.0 at work and Christopher 2.0 at home. It's Christopher anywhere he shows up. So we have been able to reach out to organizations and help organizations see that flexibility is actually, and retention, right? Employee retention is actually related to how someone's schedule is looking like. In my company, we don't work 40 hours. Our full-time normal is 40-hour weeks, 25 hours to 30 hours. That's our full-time with full benefits. So we really need to rethink what work-life balance is. How are we truly allowing someone to juggle their work and their home and have sanity, mental health as well? So those are all the solutions that we're bringing, truly allowing to see your person from an extended lens.
Excellent. And Rashmi, you have a quick overview on how everything's trying to change for your corporation company so far with the COVID-19?
Yeah. So it's been two parts for me. One is on the personal side and on the company side. On the company side, week one we were all like, okay, relax, let's take a break. We've been working all this while all round the clock, 24/7. But now it's like forcefully we've been asked to take rest, and who wouldn't want to do that when you're getting paid and yet get to relax at home? So week one, that's what we did. And week two is when we started getting a little lethargic and then started realizing, okay, we are doing nothing. And then we started realizing, okay, this is exactly what we were doing, the remote support and remote infrastructure management and helping our customers and clients from wherever we are, and solving their issues. So that's when during week three, we again said, okay, we are a normal shop. Nothing has changed for us. Let's just get to work and start continuing doing what we were doing earlier. And then we started saying, okay, now we realize that earlier we were spending 10 to 14 hours at work doing a lot of things, but that work now is being done in 4 to 6 hours. So what were we doing before? We were getting distracted, doing a lot of other things, chit-chatting, walking around, all of those things. But now I think everybody is like, is that like a break from the family, saying, okay, I'm at work, leave me alone in the room for some time? Is that what people are doing? Don't know. Our productivity has increased. Whatever work we were doing in 10 hours, I think we are able to complete that in 2 to 3 hours. I don't know if that's a magic, but it's happening, so it's good. The challenge is when you get back to work after lockdown, and that's what we want to prepare for now, because it's going to change a lot of things. And now we are at a mode that, okay, since we are not able to do our complete 8 hours at work, so 4 hours at work and 4 hours work on improving your knowledge and studying and learning. So the whole team, my team has been asked to come up with certifications, whatever they feel they should do it, and do it, get one certification at least by the end of this lockdown. So that's how we've been doing. On a personal front, we've been evolving every day. As I was telling you guys earlier, it's like a lot of retrospection that's happening on what we were good at and what we want to improve at.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. There's yeah, I saw, maybe I'll put it up on the screen. It was something I saw the other day, and I do want to say right after I say this, Carlos did join us. I'm gonna have Carlos introduce himself. Carlos, good to see you again, buddy. Always good to see you. There was a good quote I saw the other day, though, just to follow up, Mila. It says, if you don't come out of this quarantine with a new skill, a new side hustle, or new knowledge, you never lacked time, you lacked discipline. And that's kind of one of those things that I completely agree with. You have to come out of this experience gaining something, because I know a lot of people are suffering at this time too, but you should gain something out of this. Out of every struggle in life, you try to actually get some sort of strength out of it. But anyway, without that being said, Carlos, good to see you again. Carlos, can you please introduce yourself and do a quick change and just overall how things have changed for you a little bit before we get into more of the slides?
First of all, I want to apologize for being late. I had a friend that is having some issues right now, and she wanted to have a happy hour, and I scheduled a happy hour on top of this talk. So in brutal honesty, I've had a couple of beers. I'm happy. And, as far as myself, I've been working from home since 2010. So this has not been much of a change for me. The biggest change has been positive. My children are now at home because their courses are now online. So my son was supposed to graduate from Virginia Tech. As you know, graduations are canceled. So, the kids coming into this, dare I say, brave new world, they're in for a huge surprise. Now, with that being said, I'm sorry I've missed a lot of what you guys have been saying, but at least I'll give you my version of this little bug. I think it's teaching us something. It's teaching us to slow down, to spend time with your families. It's also teaching us that we can commute from home and we don't have to be at work every single day. So, as bad as things are, and by the way, I've had a friend from high school that died from COVID. He was a FedEx pilot. So he was on the front lines and he's passed away. He was 5 years my younger. I'm 61. So this is real. We wear our masks, we take our precautions, but, I hate to be happy about this, but frankly, I think the world needed this change. And I don't know if that's a good thing to say. And the problem with me is I say whatever the hell I want to say. And the truth for me is that I think this little bug is teaching us something. We need to be good humans. We need to take care of each other. We need open collaboration. And I think we need to go back to growing local food, taking care of local businesses, and sort of getting out of the consumerism that we've been brainwashed for the past 50 years. So how has my life changed? I wear a mask when I go to work, to outside. I wear my gloves. I take extra precautions. Being in the quote, 61, I'm potentially in the high risk group. I work out. I spend time with my family, and I'm trying to make the best of it. And that's the way I've been sort of tolerating this little bug.
Excellent, excellent. I agree with a lot of those points. Okay, I'm gonna go do a poll with the attendees we have. This is something that we're talking about schedules. So we are going to ask, how many hours a week is everyone working right now? If you typically worked 40 before, are you doing less than 40 now? I know Mila mentioned that her full-time, they're full-time in their jobs, they don't even push the 40. Are you doing less than 40? Are you doing 40? Are you going above 40? Are you even doing more than 51? And so that is actually something that we're going to ask our polls, and then our panelists can give a little thoughts on how everyone's doing. I know personally for myself, panelists, how has it been for you real quickly? Are you more than normal, less than normal, about the same, or you feel like you're getting more accomplished in the same? What are your thoughts for yourselves personally?
I feel like I mean, I'm doing more than 51 hours because now earlier it was 8 hours that I had to plan for, but now I have 24 hours to plan for, except for the 7-8 hours of sleep. So I feel I'm really doing a lot more things and have taken up a lot more things on my plate, and now juggling around to cope up to that.
Right. We're looking real quickly. 50% are doing more than 40 hours, 41 to 50, and about 20% are going over the 50 mark at this point. Very few people are working that 40-hour work week, 6% of our attendees. And then 25, a quarter of them are doing less than 40 at this point. So that's actually kind of based on the schedules. And so working from home is supposed to be giving you more personal time and relationship. But then as everything's canceled, like I know for me personally, I usually coach 3 to 4 hockey teams at a time, right? I have 3 kids who play travel hockey, they've done whatever. I spend all my life at hockey rinks. I don't have that extra pull to take me away from this anymore, right? I don't have that, oh, I have to be somewhere at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, so that workday just kind of bleeds in. Pretty soon, okay, you don't have your dinner, you take it at your desk, and now I'm eating dinner, and now it's night, and then it starts all over again at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning for me. So my days have just gotten longer because I don't have that thing to force me to go away. And my kids are happy without hanging out with me for a few days. So that's maybe that's a family thing, Carlos, right? I mean, it's like it teaches us to spend. The kids were forced to spend so much time together that even though I'm spending that 8 to 10 hours, I'm not working with them, they still see me in the house all day, and they're happy to say, "Hey, Dad, how's everyone else doing?" Carlos, you work from home usually, Carlos, but is your workload busier now?
I have been busier than I've ever been in my entire life. Part of the reason is I'm launching a startup, I'm running a firm, I'm taking care of my family, and I was already busy before this, but it seems like the bug, for whatever reason, has created more opportunities than I ever had in my entire life. And I want to feel sad, and I try to feel sad because I have many friends. Many of my friends are bartenders, waitresses, and bouncers. And these are the people that don't have the privilege that we have. And that's the people we have to think about. I'm very fortunate that I can work here and talk to you guys right now. There's many people that just don't have a job and don't have the hours. So I've been busier than ever. We're getting ready to go to the UAE with our startup, and everything is going like crazy. So
Yeah.
It's like work for work is just different. I guess I'm blocking off time to get things done, but I can't nearly work the same number of hours on the company as I did. I tried that for the first 2 weeks of everyone being home, and it didn't work. I was just missing something. My wife, had a couple nights where she didn't have a good night's sleep, and I've just had to fully change the schedule. The change for me is I've had to be hyper organized to get more things done in a shorter period of time for work, so I have more time for family. So I feel like I'm overall doing more stuff, but from a work for work perspective, there's not that same amount of time, and so it's making up for it with technology or making up for it for being hyper organized. But I just I'm in that. I used to work ridiculous hours. if I can dedicate 40 to 45 hours a week to actually working, yeah, that's a miracle at this point, because it just, there's not that time to do that with everything else going on.
Yeah. Anyone else want to talk about your schedules?
Yeah.
Or not, maybe not your personal schedules, but schedules of people that you might be managing, things you might have heard or experienced, and how everything is adjusted for everybody.
So one of the things that you know, when I started the company, I was working a lot of hours, and then I told myself, why am I working so many hours? That was the mission, right? I was working 100 hours a week from my corporate job. And then when I founded my company, I was like, I don't want to work 100 hours or 40 hours. So one of the things that I have done in the company is repivot every time. And to Carlos and Christopher, you all mentioned about collaboration, right? And in times of crisis right now, collaboration is such a rock star. When I say rock star, it helps us to reduce the number of hours. It has actually allowed me and my team to really focus on, so what are some of the monotonous work that we are doing that prevents us from focusing? So when I say monotonous work, like sending emails, scheduling, getting people to come on our podcast, scheduling things with organizations, preparing documents, and really identifying all the monotonous work, and really creating an environment of collaboration where we build those relationships with other people and bring their skills. So it reduces everyone's hour and also highlights everyone's skills and ability to innovate and automate as well. So that's one of the things that has truly allowed us to innovate in creative ways through collaboration to reduce the number of hours from 40 hours to 25 hours. So it freezes to like 15 more hours for ourselves. And that's one thing that we do. The extra 15 hours, go create whatever that you want to do. In times of chaos comes opportunity, right? So it's all about discipline. It's all about, what do you want to do? Right, start a podcast on the side. So this is what the strategy that we have been doing in my organization.
Excellent. Any panelists want to add anything else on schedules? We're good. What about the commute? Who's loved the better commute? That's what I want to know. And so that's one thing that's going to lead us up to our next poll to our staff is, what are your benefits that the current work from remote that the current remote work has helped? What benefits you're experiencing? So employee retention, you're getting more productivity. Mila just mentioned that, improved mental, physical health. I know we talked last month about people should get challenges, get in shape. You have that extra time now. Reduce costs for employees or employers. Some employees are saving lots of money on commutes, right? You imagine, especially as we are all in that Northern Virginia area, we all know those people that live out in Leesburg in West Virginia, and they're commuting to DC every day. The amount of hours they're getting back in their life now is huge, right? And the cost, the gas, the metro, everything. We do not have a cheap metro system. Building new relationships. It's obviously a virtual relationship, right? And then, or all of the above. So let's see how let me share the results here. All right, so we have a pretty good reduced cost is a big thing for most people. Improved mental and physical health, employee retention, productivity, not so much. Building new relationships, pretty good, but all the above. So a third of the people are saying that all the above, they've actually noticed benefits of working remote, which is pretty interesting. Any thoughts from anybody?
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I don't want to interrupt anyone. Did someone start speaking, or
No.
We're still in this adjusting phase, I guess. Like, there are some incremental things that are better, but I think we're still figuring it out. And so, I'd like to say that, because we're not driving to client site, we're being more efficient, and you're not burning gas or saving money, or we're not going out to meet colleagues for lunch, but we're using grocery delivery, and so are we really saving any money for that or those pieces? I think, I don't know, my thought is it's too early to tell. I mean, you're talking about, sons and hockey. I think for me it was, sort of physical health. I was going to the gym 4 to 5 times a week, and that's gone because of family obligations and those pieces. So I don't know yet. I think there will be the benefits, but I honestly, it's one of those things where we've only been in it a month. It's going to take us at least a month or two to figure out our new schedules, and we have a family morning stand up to figure out what time class is and who's making lunch and dinner and all that stuff every day. But I don't see any of those benefits yet. And I'm hoping that things get sorted in a month so we can realize them. But I'm not seeing more productivity for not commuting because we all work from home. I'm not seeing any reduced costs because we don't have that in our infrastructure anyway. Physical and mental health has been tough. I mean, I have an employee moving. I have a bunch of families where mom and dad still works and they're taking care of their kids. I'm not quite seeing that stuff yet. I hope I do, but it's but to Carlos's point, I mean, as a company, we're busier than we've ever been with clients, and they realize, hey, I need to use this technology and set it up because I've had to reduce costs and lay off employees and do those pieces. So I still have the same amount of work to get done with less people. So how do I become more efficient? But I'm not seeing those things, and hopefully I'm the vast minority. But I think it's still going to take us some time to work it out, even though, like most of the panelists on the call, we've been remote since the beginning.
If I could talk to the remote working, when I first started remote working, your home is supposed to be where you don't work. And it took me several months to sort of train myself and my family to the fact that this is work. In other words, when I'm in the basement and I'm working, I need to work, and I know that sounds stupidly obvious, but the issue was that because I was home, I was expected to do all these other things because I was home. And I had to make the point to my family that, look, I still need to do work. And when I'm downstairs in the basement, you have to pretend that I'm away, that I'm not here. But the way I sort of worked with that, it's the beauty of being able to work a couple hours and then going and having lunch with your family in the backyard and relaxing. And what I found is I actually became more productive, because now, instead of going to work and forcing myself to cram as much work as I possibly could in an 8 to 16 hour day, come home, barely spend time with my family, my health was suffering, everything was suffering. When I started working from home, it was actually a salvation, because now I could work more hours than I was working at the law firm, but at the same time, I was spreading it out through a longer period, and including the pleasure of being able to do homework with my kids, being there when my wife needed me to do something for her that was urgent, not just the regular honeydews. And it took me, several months to get, it might have been even 6 months or more, to get to the point where I could actually work efficiently from home. And now, there's no difference for me. I'm home and I'm working, or I'm not working, but it's all sort of melted together, for lack of a better term. And it's been very, very positive for me for the past 10 years.
I want to highlight something really quickly, if I may. I want to highlight that there's a difference between remote working and working from home. And during this pandemic, we are all displaced from the traditional office, right? Most of us actually who have been in the office environment. So working from home with your family, or with your family being present, a disabled child or disabled parent being around, it changes your environment. And working from remote, sometimes I go to the coffee shop or tea shop or to the library to work, right, to get my work done. So it's a different environment. So many different variables play to how your work is getting done, or how you're being productive. So productivity is also a variable as to your environment, as to what tools are enabling you, whether your environment is enabling you or disabling. When I say disabling, as to where is your attention being focused to. So let's say if you work from home and if your child falls down or there's an emergency, right? I remember like 20 years ago, I was working from home and my mom had a stroke attack and she was paralyzed. But she had a severe stroke attack. I was working from home and I had to stop what I was doing and attend to her. So there are so many different variables between working from home and remote working and how that contributes to productivity. So we need to like rethink as to which lens we are looking from as well. Yes, it does allow us to build that relationship in our family, but at the same time, we need to rethink the variables that contribute to productivity and how our people are responding to the environment whilst working as well.
Interesting. Amy or Rashmi, you have any follow-ups on the balance of work-life relationship? Amy, I know yours, I talked to you personally a couple of times. How are you enjoying it overall, and how?
As you know, I've been fortunate enough and very grateful to be able to shelter on a boat on the Chesapeake Bay. I'm not there right now, obviously, but that is pure solitude. So I don't have children that are that I need to take care of. So I find myself just getting through a day of what I need to get done in maybe 6 hours where it would have taken me 2 days to get something done, that list done. So for me, it's been very, very productive. I think there's such a difference between those that have children at home and pets or a big house to take care of than those that don't have that to do. So for me, it's been a fantastic way to I'm learning Spanish because I have a little bit of extra time. So it's for me, it's been a really good thing. But my colleagues, I hear them struggle. We get on daily calls together, and there are definitely struggles there that I don't know about. So I think flexibility is super important.
100%.
For me, I would say it's all of the above in terms of employee retention and productivity increase and reduce cost of employees and employers. What we've realized is that our team is able to do a lot much better, and they are coming up with. So we are able to realize which of the team member is more self-motivated and who needs a little more push. The self-motivated ones are coming up with new ideas of doing new things in a new different way, but we need to also push some of the people. That's one thing. As an employer, we are happy and we are feeling pretty confident about ourselves that during such times we are in a strong place where we don't have to let go people, the important assets of our company, and we are able to sustain and we are able to do pretty well, which is a confidence booster for us as employers, that okay, whatever we are doing, we're doing it in the right way. However, in terms of building new relationships, this is going to be an open secret right now that I don't live here. I don't stay here all through the year. I keep traveling between India and US. So the week after I landed here is when the lockdown was declared. So it's like I'm doing a real-time, probably I would say a reality show, which is locked in a house, do whatever you want. You cannot meet anybody. You cannot do anything. Let's see how it goes. It's like that. It's like the Big Brother or something that's aired. However, yeah, as initially like a free college going girl, I was like, okay, I'm alone. I can do whatever I want. But slowly the reality kicked in and getting back to normalcy. So these are some of the things. So I would say all of the above for this, and then it's kind of helping us learn and also unlearn a lot of things. That's what I would say.
Excellent. All right, I'm gonna go to the next question in our poll. It's what technology challenges are you facing in your day-to-day? So obviously I was talking to some of the panelists, Zoom, a lot of people have used Zoom, huge security exploits with that. People can't use Zoom, switching to Zoom. Our last Rest in Tech Talk, we did talk about how we actually can collaborate better and the different tools you can use. You can use Zoom, GoToMeeting, everything like that. Compliance, all the above, none of the above. What are some of the challenges some people are facing? And for some people, it depends where you are, right? Depending upon what role you have in the company, you maybe need to get access to certain things. Obviously, where everyone's speaking here is, I think, is not doing a lot of the hospitality stuff. As Carlos says, he has lots of friends. I have tons of friends as well in the hospitality industry, and their lives have really been impacted, completely shattered. My wife has a company that had to shut down during this time. So, I'm fortunate enough that we have our company is actually, our whole point is to keep people online. So online and valuable. So it's been actually good for our solution for Constellix. But okay, so the biggest technology challenges we're facing, looks like remote access connectivity is by far the largest. And then a little bit of everything for everything else. So any thoughts from the panelists on remote access? If it's not for you, do you have anyone in your companies that's experiencing this and how you're dealing with it? Anybody? None? Carlos, go for it.
I can talk a lot, so I always have a comment. Remote access hasn't been difficult for me. I've been using, I'm like subscribed with MS 365 and Google for the firm, so Skype, Zoom. So for me, it's really almost like too many channels, too many channels of communication. And the hard part is really finding channels that work for people that aren't quite computer savvy has been the biggest drawback that I've seen. Because things that I think are simple, like, hey, click on this link. And they're like, yeah, but my camera and microphone's not working. And I'm like, well, you have to go up there and you have to click on the little thing that gives it permission. So, that has been a challenge, not so much for me,
huge,
but
right. I'll say a lot, it depends on the age of your staff, right? It depends what sort of staff do you have. Are you doing, 50 and younger? That's sometimes a big differentiating factor. You start doing 60 and younger and 70, right? If you have some older staff, they use the internet, but they're not used to the online messaging. They're not intuitive to the, they're trying to learn these acronyms, OFC, they're like, what the heck is this, right? They're now relating to kids, and we're all using their acronyms and these daily messages. And there's probably some there's business etiquette not to use them, but everyone gets guilty of them, and these emojis are popping up everywhere. Depending upon how the age of your staff is, that's a huge difference. And so anyone that's getting close to, up there, ready to retire, now they're having to do everything online. It's a big change for them. I agree, Carlos. Amy, with your staffing and I know Insperity, have you guys heard about any of that? Depending upon the age of the IT challenge people.
Yeah, we've seen some of that. We also have some employees that live pretty remotely, so we're struggling with getting connectivity. Believe it or not, there still are areas where there isn't a 4G or a 5G. So we're having a little bit of trouble with that, but we're working through it. A hotspot has become a hot commodity.
Yeah, 100%.
Also, speaking of the kids, my son's a professional gamer, and they have no trouble communicating. They have Twitch channels. They have, I'm trying to keep up. They don't even use Facebook or Zoom or any of these quote conventional channels. And it's interesting to see that they have their own channels that are just as robust. In fact, they're probably even more robust. Like, I just recently attended a Twitch DJ concert. I had to go and be an OK boomer, like, what the heck is Twitch? I can install it now. And the point being is that we have to also be aware that there's many channels. And in fact, the kids have shunted all of our channels. None of my kids are on Facebook. They have accounts, but they don't use it, So I think with the younger staff, you also have to sort of be cognizant of the fact that they're using completely different channels than we are. and sort of accommodating them.
To Carlos's point, I want to highlight, I used to be an avid gamer as well. I used to play World of Warcraft, and it's so true. You know, you have so many different platforms to communicate via Twitch, via like Ventrilo, and so many different platforms. And that's one thing that I brought into my organization. Yeah, I'm such a nerd. But you know, we use different platforms like Slack, like Google Drive, where collaboration is enabled, and also to identify how different people assimilate different tools where we enable them. So it's just not Zoom. We have leaned away from Zoom because too much of connectivity issues, and sometimes we use different platforms. Sometimes we use FaceTime. So whatever people have, like from their smartphones, we try to tap into what is really easy for people to use. So that's the lens that we have been approaching from.
I will tell you, the kids' technology is not easy. I was trying to get on Discord, and I'm like asking my son, how do you start a web chat? You know, how do you turn on the camera? And he's like teaching me, you know, and I look at the interface and I'm like, what the heck? It's not Skype, you know, where's my camera button? And yeah, so
Carlos,
we can learn from the kids.
Carlos, I'm shocked you don't have the patent on that.
Well, you know, we just recently started having these things called patent-a-thons.
Okay.
And what we do is we create a channel. It could be any channel, and a few inventors enter, and one patent attorney enters, and a patent leaves. And we're filing patents in about less than 8 hours. And the reason we're doing this is because of the fact that I don't know who's listening on these channels, and our company is open source. All our technology is open to the little people, free for personal and educational use. But by the same token, when you get on a Skype or a WhatsApp or a Google, you just don't really know who is listening. And the way we solve that problem is by literally filing patent applications as fast as we possibly can, so that if somebody is listening, there's no possible way they can beat us to the patent office. But to answer your question, we just recently did a gaming patent-a-thon, and we filed the gaming patent in 7.5 hours. It was myself and 2 inventors, and we literally generated the drawings, we generated the description, we generated the paperwork, and we filed it electronically. And the reason I made the inventors hang out for the whole entire time is because, believe it or not, inventors get lazy and they send everything to the patent attorney and they expect him to do everything. I want you guys to share my pain, because part of OU 812 is teaching the innovators how to write patent applications. And I don't want people that are like, hey, here's my info, you know, go file it for me. And then they get a bill and they're like, well, why did it cost, you know, $10 gazillion? I'm exaggerating, obviously. But the point being is, you know, once you show people your struggle, then they kind of can understand the process. And that's what we've been doing, is we're having these quote patent-a-thons. The hardest one we just filed was most recently, it's for a blockchain system. It was about a 15-hour patent-a-thon over 2 sessions. And still, it's better than the conventional model, which I think is like, I don't know, 20 to 40 hours or something like that.
So is that the secret why friends asking for a happy hour with you?
All right.
You know,
So I got a couple comments from the panelists here. Sheila mentioned that she's had some problems even with some younger people not understanding some education. And she said it's not always about older people. Like, that's understandable. And then we have a question from Christina that said she would be curious to know what could, where is it? I mentioned over here, and I lost it now, Christina, I apologize. What can tech companies do to help and give back to the community during this time? That's like an open question, I guess. So anyone
there's a lot. It just depends on what you offer. I mean, I think one thing is tech companies can help others pivot or adapt. I think all of us have to adapt really quickly to changes in environments, changes in markets, changes in industries. I I think you can help with training as well. I mean, Carlos and gosh, I'm horrible with names. I gotta get better. But yeah, I think you can help with education in those pieces. A lot of people are going to have career transitions. So we're doing something. If you want to switch to do online or digital marketing, here's what to consider. Here's where you can get free training so you can get up to speed for that type of career. But I think that part is particularly helpful because a lot of models and a lot of businesses are changing. And if you're in a position where you're out of work or know others that are, I think as a tech company, you have a responsibility and you can really help train people and get them on the right path so that we don't have to wait for things to get better for you to get a job. It's just changing that skill set so that you are marketable and be able to help companies who desperately need help now. We need to automate process. We need to communicate better. We need to sell better and focus on personalizing communications. Like tons of need there, and I think it's whatever you can do to help train people and help them pivot and adapt is pretty important right now.
One of the things that I would also like to add to what Christopher said is what tech companies can give at this point in time is definitely business continuity. And as individuals, we know learning is important, people are important, mental health, physical health, all of it is important. But as an entrepreneur, we all know what is the importance of business continuity. Tomorrow morning when I wake up, do I still have my business that I started? So I think that's pretty close to us, pretty near to us. Or if this business is not working, is there anything else that I can get into? So I think one of the biggest strengths or biggest offerings that tech companies can give to any businesses is business continuity. Like I mean, if we talk about Reston Tech Talk itself, nobody knew Reston Tech Talk used to be a nice event. We were meeting a lot of people, eating a lot of goodies, and then listening to people and all of these things. And suddenly it stopped. And I mean, Reston actually has two beautiful events, Reston Tech Talk and Wine Tech Wednesday. And these are two beautiful things everybody looks out for every month. Suddenly, if it is stopped, but everybody was shocked. And thanks to Steve, we got Reston Tech Talk back, though in a different format. It's giving us more time to talk now. So it's good. So nothing has stopped.
That's a good point.
I would touch on Christopher's comment about education. Many businesses have gone under the model of selling fish rather than teaching people how to fish. And I've been teaching people how to fish for, several decades now. And many of my partners said I was an idiot. They said, hey, why are you teaching startups what you know when I charge them 40 hours per patent application? And I said, well, I charge 10 startups 4 hours. What's your point? And see, the difference between teaching people how to fish and selling them fish is that now you become part of the team. In every communication, I always refer to people as part of the team. And I've always had a saying, and this is it: if you're not adding value, get out of the equation. And that even means yourself. I turn clients over to the wolves, as they say. I'm a small, tiny firm, and I don't do major litigation because I'm not set up for it. And I send them to the major big firms that can handle those sort of tasks. And I know they're going to pitch the IP work to them. I know that because that's business, right? Business is you get all the business you can possibly get. But my attitude is that I will recommend a client to somebody else if I think they can do a better job than me. And with that attitude, you build long-term relationships. And this is what's most important to me. I tell potential clients, I want my children's children to hang out with your children's children. And that's the attitude that I've taken through, my entire career. And that's why I keep clients that follow me through 6, 7 law firms, because I send them to the wolves, you know, and that's something that requires yourself to be confident in what you do. And more importantly, to think about the client first and not yourself. And that's a very, very difficult thing to do, especially when you're looking at short-term gains versus long-term relationships.
I just want to add one quick point to Christopher's and Rashmi's point. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. Point you mentioned about the business continuity, and Christopher, you mentioned about adoption and adaptation. Right. One of the things that tech companies can truly do is, learn how other people to their pain points, like humanize those work processes. A lot of organizations have processes or have people in job positions where it's dehumanizing work, where they do it over and over and over again, like data entry, or work that takes hours, like mind-numbing work. Tech companies can offer that tools where automate and liberate people to have more time and not displace people. People have been talking about technology is here to liberate all of us, but at the same time create solutions that does not displace someone. That's why a lot of our baby boomers, those generation, they are so afraid that they will be out of jobs, but create solutions that does not displace, but really replace or place them in a better position. So giving them those assets and tools and knowledge, like Christopher and Rashmi had said.
It's Rashmi.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, so we had I got a couple more polls, and I got a couple more comments here. Muthu mentioned technology assisting with communications. How has technology helped with operations, especially at this time? And that's gonna kind of go sort of in my last one, is how has communication changed for everybody, just overall, of our people that's still with us? Remember, most attendees have stayed, which I'm happy for. And then of course, we'll be sharing this on the Rest in Tech Talks. How has everything changed? So if you did make a change, right, and then maybe you used Slack before. We obviously used Slack before, but we're using Slack more now, right? 100%. I mean, we're video Slacking all the time now, because we're not just going to go down the hall and talk to somebody. I'm when I talk to people, I use my hands, and that's much harder to do unless I have a wide camera angle for myself personally. So let us go through here, and let's I think that I'm gonna close this up. We're running out of time, so I want to end this last poll. We have last comments and feedback. And let's share the results. All right, so for our attendees, communications has changed with video chats. That took over the most of it. Slack, Hangouts, instant messaging came in second. Webinar and phone calls fell behind. So video chats is really the largest communication change overall. And I think that's kind of what my personal experience has been. Overall, with the panelists, do you agree? Amy, are you doing video chats from your boat? Do you have the connectivity to do that? Or
Yes, we absolutely do. I'm not there right now, obviously, but yes, absolutely, all day long. Where everybody's probably webinared out. So we're typically turning those into more educational and maybe more enlightening topics.
Right. Yeah, there's a flood of webinars, and that's the thing. I know we wanted to bring Rest in Tech Talk virtual, but you're competing with probably like 80 other webinars that all of our people could have watched at the exact same time right now. Everyone went to the webinar, which is dead.
I think
It's not a webinar.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that the one caution I'd give is that just because you have the technology, you don't need to use it. And so if there's a quick question, please don't set up a Zoom go-to meeting, Skype or whatever else to ask a quick question. So we're finding some of those pieces with clients. It's like, ooh, I have this technology now to do video chats. I want to use it. Where picking up the phone or using another channel is a bit more effective. But we're seeing a lot more phone. I mean, we've been online for a while, but people want to talk, and they feel like having a phone call is more secure and personal, even than some of the video stuff. So we are spending, at least for us, we're spending a lot more time on the phone.
Yeah. So any closing final remarks? We hit our hour mark, and that's all I ask for everybody to jump on. Panelists, I once again want to thank everybody. Any final remarks you want to close up before we say goodnight to everybody? Carlos, we'll start with you.
Well, all I can say is this is our chance. You know, this is our chance to make a better world. And I'll just leave it with that. In other words, no doom and gloom. Let's look at, you know, the positiveness that's coming out of this. And let's not go back to the old system. That's my take.
Let's change from it. I think that's a great message. Amy?
Yeah, I mean, this pandemic has forced innovation and change, just like you said. It's and all of us have to be a little bit more efficient. We're looking at it as looking at the long game. It's a long game, and to find a win in every single day.
Yeah. Rashmi?
I would definitely agree with what Carlos said, that we have got an opportunity. We had an opportunity before we had a different world. Now we've got an opportunity. We can make a different world again. And as you rightly said earlier, if by the end of this lockdown, if you don't get out of your house with a new habit or a new learning, then it's definitely not the time. It's the discipline that you lack. So it's time to work on the discipline too. It's the right time to help yourself and also to help your organization and also to help the country.
Yeah.
Very good point. Mila?
Sure. So one of the things that I would like to say is, rather than thinking about the future of work, this pandemic has forced us to think about the now of work. So it has forced us to truly understand our people and look at our people as humans who have a beating heart, what they are truly undergoing, how many things are they juggling behind the scenes of an office, right? We really need to get to Carlos's point, to everyone's point, really understand how a person wants to be accepted as they are, whom they are, and truly enable, as opposed to like treating them as a commodity where they have to hit this certain number of sales target, or if you're not performing, really rethink the culture, rethink how you are leading in your organization with diversity. Diversity should not be an isolated theme. It should be an integral part of your organization. Technology, education, how someone is showing up, someone is assimilating. So we need to rethink culture.
Excellent. And Christopher?
I don't have anything. Those are some pretty deep and insightful thoughts. So I really don't have any additions to add to that, other than, you know, take a pause and sort of consider where you are and what you need to do. You don't have to do what you did previously. You have a huge opportunity, and just pause for a minute and think, rather than just jumping in and doing. But yeah, I mean, thanks. I really appreciate being part of this panel today, and I for one have learned quite a bit from it.
Yeah, I mean, and I want to thank everybody. And also, I wish everybody out there at our Rest and Tech Talk community and all your friends, everyone in Northern Virginia, everyone around the world, please stay safe and healthy. As Carlos, you know, I think everybody knows someone now who's been affected by this. And so we do hope a time where we can all get back together again. Obviously, we all miss that. But, you know, let's use this time to gain from it and learn from it, and then we'll all be together soon. So next month, like I said beginning, we're going to go back to our original format, but we're going to try to do it virtual. So Carrie will be sending out emails and asking for people to talk about their presentations and their ideas. And I don't have to worry about setting up a projector anymore and actually showing everyone slides. You can do it right on your own computer. Awesome. So we'll do that. So I look forward to that as well. So everybody, thank you all very much. Panelists, thank you all very much. I wish you a safe evening, and we'll all talk soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stay safe, everybody.